Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for VeChain. VeChain this week, like after dipping below the support level, the uptrend support, it reclaimed successfully to above the support line. So let's see what has happened and where it is heading. So as soon as we come in, we see what happened over here. So last week, the price tested the support level and then closes right above the support line, and then this week it dipped lower than last week, but then now it has successfully reclaimed the level, but then the selling force from above is still pretty high, so that's why we're seeing this long wick at this point. It doesn't mean it has finished yet. The squeeze is still building on. If we turn on the Bollinger Band corner squeeze, we see both the purple lines and the orange lines are getting closer and closer. But we already know, we already talked about this, when we get closer and closer to November, a massive breakout will eventually happen. So this, the current state, is basically building towards that massive breakout. So since it has come down to test this level, I might as well adjust this line just to reflect what has happened and extend this further. So it seems like the time frame has moved to December, but I already mentioned a lot of times that the breakout doesn't wait till where the lines crosses to happen. So any time from now to the beginning of December, this massive breakout is or can happen. This is like, I would say, the last test before it goes up. We probably have already seen this point, and it's just a matter of time that it comes up for a distribution cycle. I'm just trying to see whether VeChain has any unhealthy sign. The good thing that we have here is February 2024, the buying climax back then was lower than what we had back in December last year. So that's a good sign because it is basically an ascending trend, so we don't have to worry too much. The best thing to happen is for the buying climax this time, when it happens, to at least hit the purple key level of 6 cents 80, because if that happens, that means the support for VeChain is still there and it hasn't declined compared to what we had back in 2024. I certainly hope that this will lead to a higher buying climax above the purple key level, because the accumulation we're having here compared to what happened here, it's looks to me it's in a better shape and form, and it's taking a longer time to accumulate as well. So counting from the selling climax to where we are now, we're already 168 days in. Last time, from the selling climax to when it's starting to climb, it was only 122 days, 126 days. So much shorter time period and less time to accumulate, basically. This time, the force is simply higher. So you see this patch at the back, right? That was a very short squeeze. This time we have a gigantic squeeze over here. Just quickly check what happened over here as well. Okay, that's enough for the big picture. Let's get to the daily. Let's enlarge this. So what we have here, unfortunately, it has come down for another test. That's why we said always set a stop loss in case it's heading towards or it reaches towards the side of lower possibility. This is just a matter of time. We're still waiting for this to happen, much like we're waiting for the weekly. So this breakthrough over here is the critical point, and we may possibly have to wait for a longer period of time if I extend this line further just to see how far. I don't think it's going to follow this trend because the key is the weekly, so it should follow what's going to happen here. If the breakout happens sometime in November, eventually this line will not be relevant anymore when we get to that time, because it's going to break above the orange key level of 2 cent 60 and then heads up to challenge this white line, the ceiling of the long-term playground zone, and eventually this yellow key level of 3 cents 50. So I don't want to say this is going to be 100%, because what can happen, like what we see over here, the last dip before it actually climbs, it looks kind of similar. So you see this patch of horizontal trading, right? We just had this happen, and then that's when we had that leg downward and then eventually shoots up. Ideally, if it repeats what happened back in 2024, interestingly also October, November time, if it repeats exactly the same way, that would be interesting, because so let's see what happened here. Starting October, it basically declined and then traded sideways and then declined further at the end of October. Until November 5th, that's when the price started to climb. We're at the very similar time frame, the end of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter. We're seeing similar pattern happening, and like I said, in the weekly chart, we're just waiting for the breakout to happen, and if it coincidentally happens in beginning of November, that is where the time, or like this time point is pointing to as well, somewhere in November, then it's going to repeat exactly what happened 1 year ago. Is there somebody controlling this? I'm not sure, but why the same time frame, almost exactly in the same period? That's very funny, right? Okay, anything else in the daily chart that we can see based on the latest movement? Just checking, because it doesn't seem like there is any particular downtrend or uptrend. The price is still pretty much trading between this orange line and this yellow dashed line, and I don't see any particular trend being developed other than this sideways movements. Yeah, so I say I don't see any. I just want to add back this. It can still come down even though the chance is not high because of what we checked over here. That's a very big dip. That's almost same as what we had previously. So 2 dips, we've got 2 over here. We don't hope to see this coming down to this level. I should put this over here actually, because that's what happened right over there. Well, that's the selling climax, I assume. That's another test, and then the third dip before it climbs. We've got this second. Hopefully this is already the third. I don't want to see it to come down here, though it's still a possibility. So going back to the weekly, just to quickly recap and see whether I've missed anything. We've talked about the time point somewhere in November. The massive breakout is on the way, and we're likely near the end of accumulation. Volume itself, nothing very alarming. That's a good sign. If it is really the calmness before the storm, that's what it is. And yeah, that's it for VeChain. Finger crossed, it's going to head towards a massive pump when we get closer to November. Good luck to all of you. Remember to set a stop loss. We never know. There are always black swan events. So stay safe, trade safe, and have a good day. Cheers.